Lyra had been standing at the same corner for nearly 500 days. Rain, shine, snow, or wind, she never missed a single day. Her violet-scaled skin shimmered in the dim light of the bustling interstellar trade hub, reflecting colors that seemed to mirror her emotions. She moved very little, her long fingers gripping a small glowing cube tightly, the object warm and pulsing faintly in her palm. Everyone who passed by noticed her, though few understood why she stood there so patiently. The corner itself was an unremarkable place, a simple intersection between two crowded streets. Neon signs blinked and flickered above, advertising everything from alien spices to human-made gadgets. Ships of every shape and size passed overhead, humming quietly as they hovered or zoomed past. Yet for Lyra, none of it mattered. She waited, and she believed. People often ask questions, some politely and some with curiosity bordering on teasing. "Why are you here every day?" a small alien vendor asked once, his many eyes blinking in unison. Lyra only smiled softly and shook her head. "I am waiting," she said simply. That was always her answer, and it never seemed enough to satisfy anyone. Children sometimes came to watch her. They were fascinated by her shimmering scales, the way her tail flicked lightly behind her, and the quiet, serene patience she showed. Some of them brought small gifts, a flower that glowed faintly in the dark, a tiny handcrafted toy, a note written in careful human letters. Lyra accepted each one graciously, thanking them with gentle words and a nod. But she never looked away from the street corner, never moved from her vigil. Lyra's mind often wandered back to the day she first met him, the human named Ethan. He had been an engineer, young and full of ideas, traveling between planets to repair and invent devices that no one else could understand. Lyra had been struggling with a small mechanical device, something humans had left behind in the trade hub years ago. It had sparked and whirred, refusing to work properly. Ethan had seen her struggling, and without hesitation he had knelt beside her and carefully adjusted the device. "Here, try this," he had said with a smile, handing it back. When it worked perfectly, Lyra had felt a rush of joy unlike anything she had experienced. Ethan had looked at her with something in his eyes she didn't quite understand, something gentle and kind, and he had said, "I'll return for you, no matter what." That promise had stayed with her, burning bright through every day that followed. She trusted humans in a way that surprised her own species. They were clever, determined, and strangely persistent. If Ethan said he would return, she believed he would. Time did not make her faith weaker. It only strengthened it. She had grown accustomed to the rhythm of the hub, the way traders shouted their wares, the soft hum of hovercraft engines, the occasional laughter of children playing in the streets. Yet even amidst the chaos, her corner remained a place of stillness. Lyra became a quiet landmark, a presence people came to notice whether they wanted to or not. Sometimes, humans and aliens alike left notes for her, hoping to communicate with the girl who waits. Messages of encouragement, drawings, small objects that might make her day brighter. Lyra kept each one carefully tucked into a small pocket of her tunic, never reading them all at once but feeling the warmth of each intention. Each gift reminded her of Ethan, reminded her that someone had promised and that promise could not be broken. The first winter of waiting was the hardest. Cold wind bit at her skin. Rain poured in sheets that drenched her scales, and the streets were often empty as other beings sought shelter. Some days she wondered if the hub itself would change so much that Ethan might not find her. The thought made her chest ache, but she would not give up. She had waited too long to stop now. The second spring brought life and color back to the hub. Traders returned in full force, carrying exotic flowers, fruits, and devices from far-off planets. Lyra's corner glowed softly under the neon lights, her scales reflecting the bright colors around her. People began to recognize her more, whispering about the alien girl who waited with unwavering faith. Some admired her patience. Some mocked it. Still, Lyra never wavered. On the 300th day, something unusual happened. A small human-made robot rolled up to her feet. It was a messenger device carrying a note in Ethan's handwriting. Her heart leapt as she carefully took it and read the words, though they were brief. "I am on my way. Keep waiting. Don't give up." Her tail swished with excitement. The note confirmed what she had always known. Humans kept their promises, no matter the distance, no matter the challenge. Time flowed like water. Days became weeks, weeks became months, months became years. Lyra became more than a curiosity. She became a symbol. Traders told stories of the alien girl who waited, children drew pictures of her, and strangers who had nothing to do with her often left small gifts out of admiration. The glowing cube she held pulsed softly, a constant reminder of Ethan and his promise. Lyra learned to see the small joys around her even as she waited. A group of children once performed a little play near her corner, acting out a story of friendship and courage. She laughed quietly, her scales flickering in bright, cheerful colors. A family of aliens left her warm snacks from their shop, smiling as they watched her eat. Even the rain felt comforting sometimes, a rhythm to the world that reminded her she was alive, waiting for something worth waiting for. And then, on the 500th day, something extraordinary happened. Among the crowd of traders, travelers, and passers-by, a shadow moved differently. Lyra's scales brightened instantly, her glowing cube pulsing faster as if sensing recognition. Her heart raced with a mixture of hope and disbelief. Could it really be him after all this time? The figure moved closer, tall and weary, carrying a small bag with strange artifacts that shimmered faintly in the neon light. Lyra's pulse quickened. Every fiber of her being knew that this was no ordinary human. Her scales flickered violently, casting soft violet light across the corner. People around began to notice her sudden excitement, but she did not care. All of her focus, all of her hope, centered on this single figure. As he drew closer, Lyra could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the marks of a long journey across countless worlds. Yet there was something familiar, unmistakable, a kindness, a determination that mirrored the memory she held so tightly. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. The world seemed to quiet around her, neon lights dimming into the background as her focus narrowed to this one person. And then, he looked up. Their eyes met, and for a moment the entire hub seemed to pause. Lyra could feel the years of waiting, the days of doubt, the small joys and struggles all converging in this single instant. Ethan had returned. He smiled gently, a tired but genuine smile. "Lyra," he said softly, his voice carrying across the corner. "I told you I would come back." Tears welled in Lyra's eyes. She gripped the glowing cube tighter, feeling its warmth spread through her scales. The waiting had been long, difficult, and lonely, but it had not been in vain. The promise was kept, and the human spirit, resilient, determined, and kind, had proven itself once again. Lyra felt her heart swell as Ethan stepped closer. His tired eyes softened when he saw her, and he extended a hand toward her, hesitating slightly as if he could not believe this moment had finally come. She reached out, her shimmering scales flickering with every color of her emotions. When their hands met, warmth spread through her body, a mixture of relief, joy, and the quiet satisfaction of a promise kept. The crowd around them seemed to fade into the background. Traders paused mid-step, children stopped their games, and even the busy hum of hovering vehicles seemed quieter. For Lyra and Ethan, the world had narrowed to this corner, this single moment of reunion. "I can't believe you waited all this time," Ethan said softly, his voice carrying the weight of his journey. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small device, glowing with faint, intricate lights. "I wanted to make sure I could find you no matter what, so I built this tracker. It can sense your unique energy signature across planets. No matter where I went, I could always come back to you." Lyra's eyes widened in surprise. She had always known humans were clever, but the ingenuity in this simple device took her breath away. Her tail swished behind her in excitement, and the glowing cube in her hand pulsed in rhythm with her racing heartbeat. Humans were persistent, she realized once again, and their promise-keeping abilities were unmatched. "I knew you would come," she said, her voice steady though full of emotion. "I never doubted you, not once." Ethan smiled, touched by her unwavering faith, and he gently lifted the glowing cube from her hand. The cube responded to his touch, its light intensifying as if recognizing him. The two of them walked together through the bustling trade hub, a strange and wonderful sight, a human and an alien moving side by side, smiling at each other as if they had never been apart. People stared, some in admiration, some in curiosity, but Lyra did not care. All that mattered was that the promise had been kept and the waiting had ended. Ethan showed her the devices and artifacts he had collected during his travels. Each one told a story of far-off planets, strange creatures, and human ingenuity. Lyra marveled at the small mechanical birds that could sing songs from different worlds, the glowing plants that thrived in zero gravity, and the maps that charted stars she had never even imagined. Humans, she realized, were not just persistent. They were endlessly creative. Together, they began to explore the hub in a new way. Ethan demonstrated how some of his devices could help the traders improve their work, make their lives easier, and even entertain the children. Lyra watched as human and alien technology merged in unexpected ways. A hovering delivery drone guided by Lyra's telepathic signals, a water purifier powered by Ethan's small but clever invention, and a small playground for the children that combined both alien design and human engineering. As the days passed, their bond deepened. Lyra shared her knowledge of the hub, the way the streets shifted with the seasons, the habits of traders, and the quiet spots where one could watch the stars. Ethan taught her about human colonies, about distant planets, and the ingenuity that humans use to survive in impossible conditions. Together, they realized that their combined knowledge was greater than either alone. One evening, as the twin suns set and bathed the hub in warm golden light, Lyra and Ethan sat near a quiet fountain. Water sparkled in the fading sunlight, and the hub seemed peaceful for the first time in years. "You know," Ethan said thoughtfully, "humans are not the only ones who keep promises, but we have a way of trying no matter what. That's why I knew I could find you. Because we don't give up easily." Lyra smiled, her scales glowing softly in the twilight. "And I knew I could wait. Humans are clever and they always find a way. That is why I believed you would return." She leaned back slightly, feeling the gentle warmth of the evening, the faint hum of the hub, and the presence of the human she had waited for all this time. As time went on, their work together began to make a difference beyond their corner. Traders began using the hybrid devices they created, improving the flow of goods and the efficiency of transportation. Children laughed and played around the improvements they had built together. Even the elders of the hub began to notice, admiring the way a human and an alien could collaborate so harmoniously. Lyra and Ethan never left the hub for long. They traveled occasionally to other planets, testing devices and learning about distant civilizations. But always they returned to this corner, the place where a promise had been made and kept. Their story became well known throughout the trade hub, a tale of hope, faith, and the power of human determination. One day, a young human child approached Lyra with a small notebook. "I want to be like you," the child said shyly. "I want to wait for my friends and never give up." Lyra's heart swelled with warmth. She knelt slightly, her shimmering scales reflecting the child's hopeful face. "Then you will," she said gently. "If you believe, you can do anything. Humans are strong in ways you cannot imagine, and so are we when we trust them." Ethan watched quietly, smiling. He understood now why Lyra had waited. The patience, the faith, and the unwavering hope were qualities that humans often admired, but sometimes lacked themselves. Lyra had shown him that waiting, believing, and trusting were as important as any invention or clever device. Months passed, and the trade hub changed yet again. New traders arrived, new technologies appeared, and old shops closed to make way for newer, more advanced structures. But Lyra's corner remained the same. The glowing cube was still with her, now joined by small devices and artifacts Ethan had made for her, each one a testament to human creativity and determination. People often stopped to watch them, but now they no longer whispered or questioned. They smiled. Children waved, traders nodded, and even travelers from distant planets paused to see the alien girl who had waited and the human who had returned. Together they were a symbol of what was possible when two beings trusted one another and refused to give up. Lyra sometimes looked up at the stars above the hub, her eyes reflecting the distant lights of planets she had never visited. Ethan sat beside her, his hand brushing lightly against hers. "Do you think they know what we've learned?" she asked softly. "They might," Ethan replied, "but not everyone understands the way humans think. We don't always give up even when it seems impossible. That's what makes us, well, us," he chuckled quietly, "and it seems to work better when we have someone to believe in us too." Lyra smiled, her scales shimmering in a soft rainbow of colors. "Then let us keep believing," she said. "Not just in each other, but in everyone who needs hope. We can show them that patience, trust, and determination can make a difference." The twin suns rose again, bathing the hub in light. Lyra and Ethan walked hand in hand through the streets, past the vendors, traders, and children who now looked to them as a source of inspiration. Everywhere they went, they left a quiet trail of hope, proof that promises could be kept even across time, distance, and different worlds. Years later, Lyra no longer stood alone at the corner. The glowing cube rested on a small pedestal nearby, pulsing softly, a reminder of the day hope was rewarded. She and Ethan traveled, explored, and learned together, always returning to the hub where their story had begun. Their friendship and partnership grew stronger with each passing day, showing everyone that the human spirit, combined with trust and patience, could achieve what seemed impossible. The hub thrived around them, a place of cooperation, creativity, and endless curiosity. Traders, children, and travelers all carried a piece of their story in their hearts, and whenever someone doubted what could be achieved, they were reminded of an alien girl who waited 500 days for a human who promised to return, and of the human who kept that promise, proving that faith, determination, and kindness could change worlds.